right here, man, that you play when you feeling down on your ism, right? Play this shit right here and resuscitate your pimping and get you right back on your mission, right? For you hoes, this that shit you play when you ain't feeling like super hoe today. Play this shit right here and to spark up your hoeing and get you right back going, you dig? Dig this. Pimps for real, don't mistake it for fashion. The turf that birthed my reputation for mashing was the track with active, attractive hoes. Professional goers that attract the dough. Like magnets to metal, never settle. We scorching them fag bitches pedal for them portions. My whores win it all. Not the ones on the sideline wishing but didn't ball in the guidelines. My bitches did it all. Down 7 below in the snow for dough. Over 120 in the sun for fun. They mash for hours, hooker baths, not showers. Bright and early, down and dirty for the cash and power. They gotta get the cash, the towers, and reach it all to a pimp. In my position, I'm all but exempt. These bras not wimps, I'm like them renegade bitches. BFFs with tricks but never getting paid riches. Grenade bitches, they dynamite, blowing up on the pimpin' and missing when the time is right. But when they life gets strife, they see pimpin' shining bright, but they action is life without. Bitch, one strike, you out. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. See, that's the difference, nigga. The pimpin' mashing for these riches, nigga. Nothing like you master magician, niggas. Smoking mirrors with your game, hella extras to reflect the opposite appearance of a lame. Bitches coming from y'all, I can't rock with those. Tender-footed and rooted in them doctor shows. Soft shoe rituals, minute residuals. Papers on life support, your loots and critical. Something I learned about when running my earn route and working with turnouts is murdering burnouts. Cause knocking one of you niggas for a scarred bitch, that's knocking one of you niggas for some garbage. I'm heartless regardless, empty with sympathy, but banked up to the max with pimpathy. No remedy for me, I'm like this. My life is vice grip, synced in permanent ink. You can't rewrite this. My blood type is P positive, beautifully deposited with a lot of it. I'm popping this shit, and when I pop it so hard I make a trapping ass bad bitch wanna hoe hard. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. Come on, pimpin', man, pop that shit. Show these sucker niggas they can't stop that shit. Let these hookers know if they wanna cop that shit. Treat the bag like it's hot, bitch, and drop that shit. And to you hoes, if you ever took a loss, bitch, show these bitches how to bounce back like a boss, bitch. Let them know that the best way to floss, bitch, is reach that paper to some pimpin' hoe and toss it. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. One of them joints right here, man, that you play when you feeling down on your ism, right? Play this shit right here and resuscitate your pimping and get you right back on your mission, right? For you hoes, this that shit you play when you ain't feeling like super hoe today. Play this shit right here and to spark up your hoeing and get you right back going, you dig? Dig this. Pimps for real, don't mistake it for fashion. The turf that birthed my reputation for mashing was the track with active, attractive hoes. Professional goers that attract the dough. Like magnets to metal, never settle. We scorching them fag bitches pedal for them portions. My whores win it all. Not the ones on the sideline wishing but didn't ball in the guidelines. My bitches did it all. Down 7 below in the snow for dough. Over 120 in the sun for Okay. Fresh with the wavery, you did. Gotta keep my do-rag on so I can unleash the waves on y'all. The lighting ain't that good, so y'all can't really see it, pimp, but yeah, man. What's happening with y'all, though? Get my candle right. Y'all already know, man. Wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Hit that like button. Thing that look like this. You dig? Okay, y'all coming up in here, man. It's already 127 of y'all up in here, but only 48 of y'all done wiped your feet off at the door. Do a pimp a favor. Wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Hit that like button. Yeah. I figured something out with my camera game, right? And hopefully it proves to be effective. Hopefully it proves to be successful today. I tried something new and I was like messing with it yesterday. And after yesterday's live stream, I was messing with it and it seems like it ain't really glitching like that. Like it ain't freezing up. No pun intended. It looked like everything is cool with this camera, so hold on, let me do this. Bam. Okay. Now IG in the house. But yeah, it looked like the camera game gonna be service a little better justice, man. So you know, it's gonna be all good today. But
getting back to this game that I never left.
That we never left. You dig? Hold on. Excuse my pimping. Okay. Get these out the way right quick. Tyler, as always, good looking with the $2 holla. Hit the like button. Appreciate you, man. Lojo, once again, good looking with the $2 holla. Tonight's sponsor is As Long As I Got My Visa. As long as I got my visa. Yeah, man, you know. Hold on before we get into this shit, man. Let me hydrate my game one time. Put some love in my body. Yeah, man. Whole bunch of ones beat a whole bunch of nuns. In the words of my brother, Sinful the P. Cheers to the game. And as y'all can see from earlier this afternoon, I'm about to get back to posting the shorter form content. Obviously, y'all see that just about every day, unless something beyond my control prevents me from going live at the same time, we usually live at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right? That's pretty much the schedule for this live stream, but you know, what I'm incorporating now is I'm getting back to the shorter form, you know, the content that's like anywhere between 8 to 20 minutes. So, yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed that, and I'm going to keep that coming as well. You dig? And not necessarily the clips. I'm going to probably start getting to that too, posting clips from these different live streams. so that y'all can have like, a better idea of what the live stream is about without having to watch the full, hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. But the short form content that I'm doing is not clips. They're, specific videos on specific topics that's not being clipped from a longer video. They made specifically for that topic, specifically for y'all to be able to watch in a short time frame and go on about your day. You did? So yeah, we gonna keep that going too. But yeah, today's topic, struggling with 304's. Man, it's so common these days, man. It's disappointing. But it be a lot of cats out here that got quote unquote so-called alleged 304's, but be struggling with them, man. And see, this is why I'm just so appreciative of the fact that I appreciate fellowshipping, because a lot of y'all that call yourselves the pimping, you be so sensitive that when a pimp get to biting at you, you be ready to fight, you be ready to get violent. But it's a lot of game given in a biting. That's why us as the pimping, we say, squares don't even deserve to get bit up by the pimping, because a lot of times you giving them too much game that they don't deserve. So, like I said, I'm just appreciative of the fact that I took my bitings with class, and pimping chopping me up when I was fresh in the game. I'm glad that I was able to soak up the game, extract the game from the delivery of it. The delivery might be harsh, but it's still some nutrients in that biting that I can extract from the delivery and let it stick to my ribs and internalize it, right? And, it's things like a pimp, biting you or just nibbling at you a little bit about your situation that'll fire you up and make you pimp up, right? And a lot of these cats that be struggling with 304's in 2025, they be the type that's real sensitive and don't want to come around the pimp, and they see the pimp circle and don't want to come around. You know what I mean? Now I could see if it's, because, some of the pimp circles nowadays be kind of like blended with, gangbangers and dudes got 30 clips hanging out their pants and all that type of stuff. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about a circle that, you could tell it's some gentlemen, right? A lot of you guys just don't like being around gentlemen in the game, which to the pimping is strange. You don't want to be around the pimping. You don't want to rub elbows and fellowship with the pimping. That's strange. But, a lot of y'all got the potential to be great in the game, but you're too sensitive. If you just get out your chest about everything and understand that, when a pimp is biting at you, yeah, we having fun. We might be having fun at your expense, but it's an exchange though. Pimping might be having fun at your expense, but if you got the right mindset, you can soak up what's being given to you and use that to make you better. Right? And it be stuff like that. Oh man, you ain't no pimp. You ain't doing no pimping. You over there struggling. You got 2, 3, 4 bitches, and you over there, on a bike or catching a bus, or you on the train with them 304's. Man, you ain't doing no pimping. It be stuff like that that'll fire you up and make you actually do some pimping. Right? Prime example. I remember Sinful, myself, and Shantae Parker. Shout out to Shantae Parker. And there may have been some other individuals on the phone call. I can't remember, but I remember for sure that it was Sinful, Shantae, and myself, right? And Shantae was talking about when Rosebud first came to Hollywood, right? And when Rosebud first came to Hollywood, I want to say he had a Cadillac or something like that. But you know, this was, I believe this was like 1975 when Rosebud first came to Hollywood and him and Shantae first linked up and started becoming cool, right? And when Rosebud pulled up, I think Shantae said he seen him at the gas station or something like that. But the car that Rosebud was in wasn't up to par. You know what I mean? And I think Rosebud had like a few hoes, you know what I mean? He you know, he was, I guess, checking some money, but you know, his ride game wasn't up to par. So Shantae was like, man, what's that you riding in? And I think it was a Cadillac, if I'm not mistaken, but it was a little bit older. It was like a few years old. And Shantae was like, man, we ride in the year around here, man. You in Hollywood, man. You got to step your game up. Whoopty, whoopty, whoop. And that made Rosebud step his game up. Next thing you know, Rosebud coming through in brand new big boy shit. But had he never had Shantae to take that little nibble at his pimping, who's to say whether or not he would have, you know, pimped up as early as he did? You know, it's inevitable. If you got some pimping with you, you gon' pimp up. But that little shot that Shantae took at Rosebud lit a fire up under Rosebud's ass and was like, man, I'm Rosebud, man. I'm about to pimp up. And next thing you know, that's what he did, right? So, you know, it's just a blessing to have that with you early in the game. But again, like I said, a lot of these dudes be so sensitive and be scared to come around the pimping and be ready to fight over words, right? That you should feel honored and privileged that you even receiving. You know, receiving these words from the pimping is an honor and a privilege. You should be glad that the pimping is even biting at your ass, because you know, a lot of y'all don't know what that shit feel like when you actually doing some pimping, you really pimping, and you pull up into town and you come into the pimp circle and everybody turn their back on you. You know what I mean? A lot of y'all don't know what that shit feel like. And again, like I said, that's when you actually really doing some pimping, right? I had that happen to me before. I remember I was in Houston. I was on Bissonnette. This is many, many moons ago. This is a long time ago. And, you know, I had been on Bissonnette doing my thing for a minute, but I hadn't ran into no pimping. And then I seen the pimp circle. They was all in the parking lot. It was probably about 15, 20 pimps. And they all popping it. They got the music playing, you know, everything cool. And I walk up to the circle. I say, man, show look like it's some pimping going on around here. And it's like, you ever seen them old Western movies where somebody walk into the saloon and don't nobody know who he is, and the music stopped and everybody just stopped doing what they doing and they just look at, that's how it was, you know what I mean? Like, it's like everything stopped and they looked at me, looked me up and down, and then just, it's like everybody turned their back on me. And then what saved me is it was some cats that recognized me from Dallas from the year before, right? Pay attention that I'm talking about Dallas, you know what I mean? Because it'd be certain poodles and honkies and shit like that to be, you know, talking about where a pimp ain't been and what a pimp ain't done and all this sort of type of shit. But yeah, Dallas, man, it was some pimps that recognized me from pimping in Dallas the year before. And like I said, at first everybody was quiet and they was looking at me like I had shit on my face. And one of the dudes in the circle, he was like, hey man, wasn't you in Dallas with such and such and such and such last year? And I was like, yeah. And then when he said that, I recognized him. I remembered him. You know what I mean? And then the dude next to him was like, yeah, I remember you too. And then when he spoke, I remembered him. And it's like we all remembered each other. Then I was cool. You know what I mean? Once everybody else seen that some pimping recognized me, I was cool. You know what I mean? But this just come with the territory, man. You know, but my point is there's so much beauty that comes from fellowshipping with the pimping. And one of those things is when you got some hoes and you struggling and the pimping see that you struggling with some 304's and they get to biting at your ass, you know, it'll light a fire up under you and make you really pimp up, right? Because you don't want to be seen as the laughing stock of the game. You don't want to be seen as the only cat around. And the cold part about it, some of y'all be having some gorgeous chicks, but you be struggling. You don't be getting no money out their ass. And you sitting up laid up with them and playing footsies all day. And you know what I mean? You know, just real comfortable struggling, right? And I seen somebody say that shit in the comment section the other day, and somebody else said that shit talking about embracing the struggle. Listen, man, we pimps, man. We don't embrace no damn struggle, man. We overcome the struggle. We put the struggle in the rearview mirror. You know what I mean? We get that shit behind us. We make the struggle choke on dust. We don't embrace no damn struggle. You know what I mean? We transform the struggle into success and keep it pushing. Ain't no embracing no damn struggle in the game, man. I don't know who that's for, but that ain't for us. You dig? But yeah, man, be a lot of cats comfortable, man, struggling in the game with chicks. And you should be embarrassed. You should be ashamed of yourself, man. And it's a lot of reasons why cats be struggling with 304's, right? Now, you have some cats that's struggling with 304's who, you know, just don't know what to do with them. As far as like making them better at getting money, you know, stepping up they breaking on trick repertoire. A lot of cats just don't have that with them, or they haven't figured that part out yet. But then you got cats that do be checking money from chicks. See, we gonna get into that. You know what I mean? You got cats that do be checking money from chicks. I'm talking about a whole bunch of money, but still be struggling, right? And you know, that's one thing that's kind of like glamorized in the game is just spending. You know, one thing that's glamorized in the game is like who's the best consumer. Whoever the best consumer is, oftentimes is seen as the best pimp because he's consuming the most shit. He's spending money on the most shit. He buying the most shit, right? So he has the most shit to show. So a lot of people would look at that individual as, you know, the best pimp in the game, not knowing that this individual is struggling, right? But, you know, you got cats. See, so you have those kind. You have cats who spend a lot of money and consume a lot of things as far as materials, you know, designer, jewelry, foreign cars, crib, all the shit, right? But then you have cats that check a lot of money, spend a lot of money, but don't have shit to show for it. Now, this is what we about to get into, right? Because this goes for young pimps and this goes for veteran pimps and all in between. I see all of them that's guilty of it, right? I know some veteran pimps that's guilty of it, and I know some young pimps that's guilty of it. And, you know, I can't really fault the young pimps who's guilty of it because they getting it from the older pimps. But yeah, man, you know, I talked about the 31 flavors of pimping last year. I did a couple of videos talking about the 31 flavors of pimping. And one of the flavors of pimping that be struggling with 304's is, damn, did I speak about the gambler pimp? I can't even remember all 31 flavors that I spoke on. But, you know, the gambler pimp is one of those who might check a whole bunch of money but ain't got shit to show for it. He checking a whole bunch of money. He's spending a whole bunch of money and ain't got shit to show for it, right? Because every time he get a nice chunk of money, he going to the casino and he's tricking it off. Yeah, that's what it is. It's tricking. He's tricking it off on the crap table. He's tricking it off on the poker table. He's tricking it off on the roulette table and what have you, right? He's tricking it off in the slot machine, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I have gambled before. I never was really a table person because when I came into the game, I was seeing a lot of pimps losing fortunes on the table. So that always scared me. I was always afraid of the tables. I was scared straight. That was a good scared straight program for my pimping, right? That never appealed to me. But I have played the slot machines, and I have lost a little money in the slot machines. You know, I done lost like, probably some hundreds, maybe even 1,000 or so. But I've never lost a fortune, right? And it was never an everyday thing, like every day I'm losing money on the slot machine or just every day I'm losing money gambling, period, and I just can't resist gambling. Nah, it ain't never had me hooked like that, fortunately, right? I ain't bragging. I'm just blessed. But, you have cats, man, that they just, they can't resist that gambling. And it's unfortunate, right? And see, another thing that kept me from gambling and letting gambling be a problem, right? Is, I think like, and it was like that one time. I never forget. One time, me and Sinful, because Sinful was the same way. He didn't play the tables neither, but he would put a few dollars in the slot machine at times. And I remember Sinful and I. This when he first got out of prison the first time, right? Because for those of y'all who remember his story, he got out of prison on parole once, then got violated, then he got out of prison a second time, got violated, and then went back and then got out and he was out for good. But the first time that he paroled, which was, no, I take that back. This is the second time that he paroled. I had to remember who I had around and all this, everything that was going on at the time. This is the second time Sinful parole, so this is like late 2011. We in Vegas. He fresh out, but he got some work. He got somebody down, and so we both got our peoples down or whatever, and we in the casino playing the slot machine, and I think we each had lost not a lot, probably like 100 or 2 apiece, right? And we was just thinking about other pimps that we know. We start talking about it, and we was like, damn, it's crazy how, a cat can have some good hoes paying the shit out of them every day, and they come into these casinos and just blow the money like it ain't shit, not considering what them 304's had to go through to get that money, not considering, what they had to, do. Like, it's not easy. Right? Being a 304 ain't easy. It appears easy, but the actual job, the actual task of being a 304, it's not easy, right? So when Sinful and I had that conversation with each other, just thinking about how pimps be blowing fortunes that chicks be hoeing up for, and it's unfortunate for the chicks in the game who have, been subject to that, right? I done seen chicks be down with a pimp for years, and everything that she done gave this man get blown at the casino. That's crazy, right? So needless to say, people like that will be struggling with a 304. Man, I done seen pimping have a chick hand them 10 bands, 15 bands in one night. 10, 15 bands in one night. And then within the next 24 hours, asking his partner for a jug because he ain't even got enough money to feed them hoes. Asking his partner for a jug. He just broke the broad for 15 bands. And before 24 hours is up, he asking his partner for a jug because he's scared to come around them 304's. They talking about, it's top of the morning. The next morning, they like, Daddy, can we go to breakfast? And you like, oh yeah, just hold on a minute. Let me finish wrapping something up. I'll be right there. And you scared to come around them broads. They thinking it's all good because, one of them just handed you 15 bands less than 24 hours ago. But you can't even afford to take them to breakfast now because you can't stay away from that casino. You know what I mean? To me, that's no different than being a dope fiend. In some instances, it's worse than being a dope fiend because, if you hand a dope fiend 15 bands, more than likely he ain't going to blow it in 24 hours. You know what I mean? A dope fiend might blow through a good chunk of that shit and he's going to blow it all eventually. But, at least he going to be able to take them bras to breakfast within 24 hours though, But that's a shame, man. And I'd have seen this plenty of times, man. One of my veteran partners, man, who done passed away, God rest his soul. I remember he was telling me that he sat at the table and was gambling for 2 days straight. The only time he left the table was to use the restroom. But he sat at the table for 2 days straight. 48 hours he was at this table gambling. And when he wanted food, they brought him food. When he wanted something to drink, they brought him something to drink. The masseuse coming around, rubbing his shoulders, whatever he needed, they accommodating him. But he's staying at the table gambling, right? And he was going up, going down, going up, going down. And he said at the end of the 48 hours, he had lost $40,000. Sitting at the table for 2 days straight, lost $40,000. And I remember it had been some years since it happened that when he was telling me about it, right? And I could just see the disgust in his face even when he was talking about it. Like it was making him sick to his stomach to reflect back on it, right? And it was making me sick, and it wasn't even me who did it. I was like, ooh, shit, right? So for the pimping who don't have gambling problems, man, don't mess with that shit. I mean, it seemed cool, but if you like stacking money, that's what you should like stacking money more than gambling. See, this is how a lot of people get that gambling monkey on their back, and it becomes hard to get off their back. See, when you just gamble here and there for fun, it's cool. If you lose $20, $50, $100, $200, it's no big deal. But what gets you hooked on it is when you put $20 in a slot machine and you win $1,500 or $2,000, or when you put 100 on a blackjack table and you turn that 100 into 5,000, right? You start chasing that dopamine hit that you got from that. You start chasing that sensation after that. You're like, ooh, I want to do that again. But you find out the hard way that you're not going to always do it again. It might be months. It might be, weeks before you do that again. And before you do it again, you'll be done lost way more than $5,000. You be done gave them people their money back and then some, right? And the casino knows this. The casinos know this, and that's why they say, as the old cliche goes, but it's so true, the casinos ain't built on winners, right? And the house always wins. The house always wins. That's why they ain't got no problem You know, you win $10,000, they cash you out, and you don't come back. You leave for the rest of the day. They already know. They like the dope man. They like, oh, he gonna be back. We'll see him tomorrow, or we'll see him in a few days, or we'll see him later today. They know you coming back, and they know you gonna get that shit right back. Right? So this is how it starts. So don't be that young pimp who you just gamble here and there every so often, and then one time you just gambling like, what the hell? And like I said, you put $100 down and you turn that 100 into 5,000 or 10,000 or something like that. It sound good, but you got to think about what's going to come after that. You're going to end up giving that 10,000 back, and then you're going to start digging into your own pockets. You know what I mean? I done seen cats Western Union they self, all type of shit, man. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Calling the 304 like, hey, yeah, that little lump sum you got in your bank account. Yeah, Daddy, what about it? Do me a favor and zell it to me real quick. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna give it right back. But Daddy, I've been having that money in my account for 8 months. I've been stacking it up. Yeah, I know. We're gonna put it right back, but you know, just shoot it to me right now. I gotta do something real quick. And she gonna do it, but in the back of her mind, she gonna be questioning like, the hell is that about? You know what I mean? So, you know, you gotta weigh out the pros and cons. The pro is that when you win, it's gonna make you feel good. Right? Because you won. So you're going to have that feeling of victory. And then you're going to have some money in your pocket, however much it is. It's going to be a lot more than what you started with. So that feeling is going to be good. So that's a pro. But other than that, it's really no pros. It's a whole bunch of cons. You're going to be constantly losing money. Con. You're going to be lying to them 304s about what you're doing with the money. Con. Eventually, them 304s is going to find out what you're doing with the money. They're going to find out. It's inevitable. You ain't going to be able to hide it forever. They're going to find out. Right? Con. And when they find out, it's going to be a lack of trust. Con. They're not going to be able to trust you. Because they know as soon as they break themselves to you, you straight to the gambling table. And you about to blow it. Con. So then they're going to start being deceptive. They're going to start tucking on you. Con. The list just goes on and on, man. It's con after con after con after con. And really only like one or two pros to gambling. Right? And you're going to be another one of them guys that's struggling with some 304s. You know, chick just broke you off. She just hit for 20 bands and just handed it all to you. And within 24 hours, you know, you got to go to the pawn shop because you done lost that shit on the table. And, you know, she might have to pay for something. You know, she might have a court date where she got to pay, you know, a fine to stay out of jail, or, you know, she might have a bail bondsman that in order to stay out of the jail, you know, she got to pay the bondsman so much every couple of weeks or something like that, you know, and whatever it is, she might need some money for something important and urgent. And you just lost the 20 bands that she handed to you. So in order for her to pay for that urgent, important thing, you got to go to the pawn shop and pawn some jewelry. And then, you know, you handing her the money to go pay for whatever she need to pay for. But she noticed, you know, certain rings that you got on all the time is missing, or, you know, a certain chain or some certain earrings or something that you always got on. You ain't got it on now. And you handing her the money and she like, Daddy, where your chain at? Or, you know, Daddy, where your rings at? You know, what's going on? You know, I had to, I had to go get something fixed. You know, they doing some repairs on my shit right now. It's all good though. You know what I mean? One of the links broke, man, you know, but it's all good. I had that shit right back. just lying to her about, dumb shit that you shouldn't even have to do because you shouldn't be tricking off in the casino. Because that's ultimately what you're doing. What tricks do? They pay 304's for pleasure, right? They pay 304's for their time, ultimately. And usually within that time, they get some pleasure. And then they go on about their business, right? You going into the casino and you gambling for pleasure. You think you're trying to come up on some money, and it happens sometimes, but ultimately you go in there for pleasure. You like the way it feels to gamble. So you going in there for pleasure, and then once the pleasure is over with, you lose all your money, or you win sometimes, and then you walk away. It's tricking. Same thing. Right? Because you mastered by that. You're not the master of yourself in that situation. Just like when, in a lot of cases when the trick is, under the spell of that 304, she got him mastered in that situation. He not the master of himself, but it's all good though. At least he getting what he pay for. But with the gambling, it's just so many ways it can go bad, and it has a domino effect that hits so many different things. And it's just ugly, man. And like I said, that's one thing that always kept me from having a gambling problem, is because I'll be thinking about what them bras be going through. And not only what they be going through, but do you know how, man, let me tell you from a pimp's perspective, man. Do you know how good them 304's be feeling when they come through with hunks and chunks and hand it to you, right? And you 304's to be out there on some bum shit doing them, $40 and $50 dates, and they never did nothing real in the game. Pay attention to what I'm saying. And if you don't believe me, you probably don't even know no real 304's. But if you ever meet a real 304, just ask her what it feels like to hand over a fat chunk of money to a pimp. Just ask her what it feel like. Man, them chicks be damn near ready to nut on theyself. It's such a, and then like when you just see the look on their face when they doing it, right? They so proud to hand you that 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever it is. Something that most people don't make within one day. When they make that at one time and then they come and hand that over to you, man, they love that shit. That's like one of the proudest moments in their life, especially when it's their first time doing it. Because, see, a lot of times when it's their first time doing it, that's waking up the sleeping giant. And like I said, it just be so messed up, right? Because I done pimped side by side with certain individuals and seen this. Young 304, fresh in the game. She hit for 10,000 first time. 21 years old. She ain't never seen that much money at one time in the game. That's like, it's cool, but you got to look at it from that young 304's perspective. She ain't never touched this much money at one time. She 21 years old. Fresh in the game. And she followed your instructions. And when she followed your instructions, they worked. And she got 10 bands in her hand. She can't wait to put that in your hand. Right? And she come back excited. She like, Daddy, here it go. And she telling you how it happened. And she was like, I did exactly what you told me to do. And it worked. And he gave it to me. And whoop. It went like this. At first he said he was only going to give me this much. But then I did what you said to do. And when I did what you said to do, he was like, okay, I'll give you this. And then it just kept going up and up and up. And he just kept giving me money the whole night. And before you know it, I had $10,000. And this cat, see, because that shit make me excited too. Just to see a young hoe, hit her first lick for the first time, you know what I mean? Even though that ain't like really to us in the game, that's not really like a lick. It's just a good night. But to a young 304, man, that's a lick. Right? And it make me excited just to see how excited they be. It make me feel good. You know what I mean? And I've seen cats do this. They will have a young 304 who will hit something cool for the first time ever in her career, and she'll proudly and happily, you know, emphatically hand that over, and then he'll go straight to the casino and blow that shit. Shit crazy, man. You don't know how many 304s been ruined by that type of shit. Ruined. Spirit broken. You know what I mean? And that's the worst feeling in the world. You know, I told y'all, I'm pretty sure some of y'all remember, I told the story of the time when I broke a 304 spirit. I didn't do it by gambling or blowing no money, but nonetheless, I broke a young 304 spirit before. And man, still to this day, I think about that shit all the time. That shit like that, and this is just one 304. Was going hard for me, was dedicated to me, giving me her all, and I broke her spirit. And man, like, I don't know, that shit weigh on me. That shit weigh on me when, you know, when you have a good 304, she doing everything she's supposed to do, and you are responsible for breaking her spirit. Man, that shit weigh on me. I ain't talking about no punk bitch that's giving you a bunch of headaches and, you know what I mean, you over pimped and underpaid, and, you know, she just problematic. You know, she just a thorn in your side. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about a chick that really doing everything she's supposed to do. This a good 304, and you break her spirit, man. Hey, that shit is terrible. But some cats could do it, and they don't have no problem doing it because they so hooked on that gambling. But that's just one of many ways that a cat will be struggling with a 304. And that's one of the worst ways because, like I said, I done seen some good 304s that go through that for an extended period of time. They don't never be the same. And you be looking like, damn, you still look good. You still attractive. You still young. Like, you could still be, you know, who you been. But that spirit is a mother, boy. That's, you break that spirit, boy, that shit is no joke. You dig? Listen. Hey, this YouTube is a trip, man. They be tripping me out with these numbers. Cause it just went from 135 to 227. It just was 300 something. I don't know how many of y'all is actually in here because YouTube is messing with the count. But whatever the case, I know it's a good amount of y'all up in here, but only 181 of y'all done wiped your feet off at the door when you stepped into a pimp's domain. Do a pimp a favor. Wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Hit that like button. Once again, Palm, good looking with the $5 holla. You came on just in time for my drive home. Much love, Freeze. Funny because earlier I was thinking about how hilarious Sinful roast of Kelpie was. R.I.P. Yeah, you know, and this, you know, this subject ain't even really about him in particular. Right? It's just when I think of an image, you know, I needed a good illustration for the thumbnail of, somebody struggling with 304s. And I thought to myself, Lil Kelpie. What's a better illustration of somebody struggling with 304s than Lil Kelpie? You can't, I'm pretty eventually, probably not yet, but it's going to come a time where you could just put in Google struggling with 304s and the first thing you're going to see is Lil Kelpie. You know what I mean? He's going to be the poster child for that shit, I'm telling you, it's going to come a time. YouTube tripping, man. They got the subscriber. I mean, not the subscriber, the viewer count all over the place, man. 1 minute it'll be 300 and something people. The next minute it'll be 100 and something people. The next minute it'll be 200 and something people. YouTube tripping. But just that quick, y'all got the likes over 200. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, Sylvia, that is soft white underbelly. But yeah, man, we talked about the gambling. We talked a little bit about the materialism and things like that. Another individual who be struggling with 304s is the dope fiend, right? And see, the dope fiend in a lot of ways be worse than the gambler or any of that. See, yeah, Sylvia say she see 174. Ronaldo Jason said he see 235. Yeah, it was just stuck for me there too. I see 173 now. Just a minute ago, it was stuck on 235 for a minute. Now I say 185. See, it's tripping. My phone say 173. My computer say 185. It's tripping. But we ain't going to trip on that. We in here. That's all we know. Who's supposed to be in here is here. It would be cool to know how many of y'all is actually in here, but it's all good. I know we in here. It's all good. We getting this game. You dig? But again, yeah, the dope fiend in a lot of ways is worse than the gambler because, see, usually – the gambler likes to do his dirt by his lonely. Now you got some cats that be gambling that'll take the 304s with them and maybe the 304s will start gambling with them and next thing you know they both got a gambling habit. But that's rare. Most of the time the pimp that's gambling, he usually do it away from the 304s. He'll either go gamble with his partners or go gamble by himself, but he usually don't have them 304s with him. The dope fiend, on the other hand, a lot of times, misery love company, so he gonna have the broad doing dope with him. And it just breaks both of them down, man. Because I done seen some real good pimps, man, with a whole bunch of game and just the spirit of pimping just alive and thriving in them. But then they fall victim to them D-rugs, man, and it's just... they get wrapped up in that addiction and it's just all bad. And again, just certain people come to mind, man, because, even though this pimp might have his drug problem and he deteriorating off of these drugs and he acting crazy, talking crazy, all the shit, he still got some pimping somewhere up in there. So he still got some game for a chick. He still got some instructions. And that game and them instructions and that guidance that he got still work in spite of him having this drug problem, right? And, man, it's a certain cat, man, that I know, old school pimping, And man, hell of a pimp, legendary pimp. But he just got that monkey on his back, man. And, you know, for some of y'all who in attendance, you going to know who I'm talking about when I say this, but old school Memphis pimping wears hat cocked to the side like this. Be suited and booted, be clean as hell. He wears hat cocked to the side like this. I'm talking about like all the way, like I don't even know how his hat stay on his head and be cocked so far to the side, but he wears hat cocked to the side like this. And he's some old school pimping out of Memphis, man. Legendary pimp, man. I ain't gonna say his name, but anybody in the game know who I'm talking about. And this cat, man, one day you'll see him. He a cold cat, man. One day you will see him, you know, no pot to piss in, no window to throw it out of, you know, dusted and disgusted. And, you know, depending on jugs and things like that, you'll see him like that one day, right? Like today, Tuesday. You'll see him like that today. It's Tuesday. Saturday, you'll see him. He got a brand new suit on. He in a Hummer, or, you know, he in a brand new Benz, you know what I mean, with a badass bitch riding shotgun. And it's just like, you be like, damn, P, you just was messed up on Tuesday. Like, how the hell you do all of that fast, man? Oh, man, you know, this pimpin' do wonders, man, you know. He get to popping it on you and shit. But I've seen it. I've seen this man do this shit several times. I done seen him all the way messed up, and I done seen him doing his thing. I haven't seen him at the height of his game because that was before my time. You know, but back in the days, he was terrorizing New York. He was like the king of New York back in the day. A lot of cats in New York didn't like him because of the way he was getting down, but he was a cold, shrewd, pimpish ass dude. Like he was mashing around that New York. You know, his name probably still ring bells around there to this day, but back in them 80s, terrorizing New York. But yeah, man, you know, I always think about him and I think to myself, like, what if he never had that drug problem? Right? Now, that's one thing I will say, though. I ain't never seen him struggle with a 304. He get a 304 and she listening to him and following his instructions, he gonna pimp fast. He gonna have everything quick. You know what I mean? But because of the drug problem, I'm sure there have been times where he was struggling with a 304, right? And, you know, just the inconsistencies that he's had throughout his career because of the drugs is just a shame. You know, like I said, I'll be thinking to myself, like, what if he never had that drug problem? If he never had that drug problem, he'd probably still to this day be one of the richest cats in the game. Because he he's so cold with it. Like, he just, you know, when it comes to that game, it's like muscle memory. When you done did certain things in the game, certain big shit, you know how to do it over again like it ain't shit. You know, the next cat might be struggling to figure out how to do that shit, but you just know how to do that because you've done it so many times. You know, you done gave a chick some instructions and she done went and hit for 50 and 100,000 so many times. Like, it's like, do that shit in my sleep. So, yeah, I just always think about him, man, and think about how he's already legendary, but I just think about how much colder he would have been if he never had them drug problems, man. And, you know, but then you have cats that be having 304s consistently, and it's crazy. It's some people that I'm thinking about right now that be on a certain blade in a certain city, and they've been on this certain blade in this certain city. You know, they might go somewhere else for, you know, a few weeks at a time. But for the most part, they've been on this same blade in this same city for 7, 8 years. Yeah, a good 8 years that I know of, right? And it's a chick that got a certain dude that she been with all this time, probably off and on, but for the most part, she been with the same dude. And it ain't really been no hell of a progress with them. But they like them perks, though. They like them pills. You know, and both of them done been seen outside, knocked out. I done seen her knocked out on the curb. And beautiful chick, right? Like, now, at this point, over the years, the drugs done took a toll. And, you know, she don't have that same youthful beauty that she had before, but you just see how the drugs done took a toll, right? And, you know, she still ain't like, she not just hideous, but she don't look nothing like she used to. And she's still young. She's still probably in her 20s, right? But the drugs just done ate her up so bad, it just ain't the same. Same thing with dude. You know? Always talking slow. Always look like he about to fall asleep. What's up, P? Oh, man, you know, some more of this shit, same old shit, you know. Same shit, different day, you know. Yeah, I've been around here, P, doing my thing and shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, everything. Yeah, P, yeah, it's good to see you, though, pimp. Good to see you, pimp. You know what I mean? That shit is so embarrassing. That shit is so embarrassing. You know, but people get wrapped up in that addiction just for the sake of feeling good. Again, like I said, like I was talking about with the gambling. See, me, I like to weigh out the pros and cons of the things that I do. And, you know, no decision is perfect. You got to weigh out the pros and cons. It's not to say that you shouldn't have any cons, right? Or that, you know, you should seek to not have any cons, because it's pros and cons to just about everything. But I always weigh out the pros and cons, and that's why drugs never appealed to me. Because it's like, what's the pros of it? Okay, it makes you feel good. And there's certain things that you might do when you have that sensation that might be cool. Like, you know, certain drugs keep you awake when you might be tired. And then you go do certain things while those drugs are keeping you up. And the things that you do might be cool. Like, you might go get some money. You know, if you a 304, you might go knock a new bitch if you a pimp, you know, because you up off these drugs. Right? That might be a pro. But see, the cons of it is that, you know, that's not a sustainable, healthy thing. Because if you keep on doing that shit, your body requires sleep. You have to have sleep at some point. You can't go too long without sleep. And if you do, your body is going to start suffering from it in various different ways. Right? So, one of the things that's going to happen is it's going to age you real fast. You're going to start looking old at a young age. And that shit ain't cool. Right? Especially as a 304, because, you know, your beauty is something that you depend upon heavily. You know, your appearance, you know, that youthful appearance. You know, now you got some people that look good still in their older age, but, you know, one, that's because they took care of themselves, and two, you know, they older. So if you see an older person that look older, They supposed to. They older. But when you in your 20s and you look like you in your 40s and 50s, that ain't cool. If you in your 20s and you look older than me, and I know a lot of y'all this in your 20s and you look older than me, I'm in my 40s. You look older than me. That ain't cool. You know what I mean? You got to take care of yourself. And so those are, some of the cons from doing drugs. It's going to wear on your appearance, and it's going to wear on your body. It's, your organs is going to be messed up, and then you might not live long. That's the biggest con. Your life might get taken early. Anytime you got to, the people around you, you got to let them know where the Narcan is at and how to use it. And just in case, you end up passing out and all that type of shit, that ain't cool. That's a type of burden that, you shouldn't want to put on your loved ones, right? It's certain people that probably instruct their kids on how to, their kids might be, 8, 9, 10 years old, and they instructing their kids on what to do with the Narcan, where to find the Narcan and what to do with it if they pass out and don't wake up, or they unconscious or something like that, look like they're going to die. They get the foaming at the mouth and all this old type of shit. That shit ain't cool. Right? And this type of message is not only for the people that's currently going through it, but this is like a cautionary tale for the people that could possibly end up going that way. It's not worth it at all. It's not worth it at all. And especially with the fentanyl, like, no drugs are cool. No drug habit is cool, but that fentanyl is the worst, right? It's going to have you doing way more than struggling with a 304 or struggling with some 304s. See, the thing about fentanyl that I've noticed, I be in Arizona, and I don't know of a place, like, I haven't physically been to a place that's worse than Arizona. Some places they try to say is just as bad. They try to make it like Washington is just, no. Washington don't compare to Arizona. Other places they try to say is bad. Philly, I can't speak for Philly because I ain't really seen what they got going on, so I can't really speak for Philly. But they say Philly is just as bad. But Arizona, you're going to see a lot of fentanyl junkies. They everywhere. You can't even really go nowhere in Arizona without seeing a group of them, right? And one thing I've noticed about fentanyl addiction as opposed to any other addiction is that it just makes you just give up on life. You don't care about nothing. You don't care about your kids. You don't care about your mama, your daddy. You don't care about your grandma, grandpa. You don't care about nobody. You don't care about yourself. You don't care about bathing. You don't care about eating. You don't care about making money, paying bills, getting a place to live. You don't care about nothing. You know what I mean? There's no such thing as a functioning fentanyl junkie. I ain't seen it. I'm just telling you from what I see all the time in Arizona. For those of you who don't know, and you might end up in a situation with some people and they doing fentanyl and they look like they feeling good and you thinking about doing it. Man, hell no. Don't never touch that shit. And if you around people that's doing that shit, leave their ass alone. Right? It's people that I love nearly and dearly, man, that struggle with that shit. And I really, let's just say I'll be having certain thoughts about the people that put them on it. You know what I mean? I just be wishing, you know, certain things would happen to certain people, man, because that shit ain't cool, man. But that's the one thing that will make somebody just give up on life and not care about nothing except for that pill. You know? So yeah, man. But that addiction though, definitely gonna have you struggling with a 304. And again, same type of stuff be happening where, you know, you got some chicks that's young in the game, young and vibrant and, you know, excited about the game, doing their thing, and they not understanding it. They handing their money over to somebody that's going to blow the money on drugs. Oh, and the lean junkies. Yeah, man, you know, it ain't enough like fly, cool, pimpish individuals talking about this shit. You know what I mean? You might got some nerds that speak against the lean. You might got some squares that speak against the lean. But yeah, you got a fly ass pimp that's speaking against the lean though, man. Ain't nothing cool about that shit. You know what I mean? I know your favorite rapper be doing that shit. He a dope fiend. You know, if your folks is doing that shit, he a dope fiend. It's liquid heroin. I don't give a damn what nobody say. It's people that I love nearly and dearly that's on that shit, and they drinking liquid heroin. That's what it is, man. You know, you gotta excuse my my Ebonic slur, but we call it heroin, but it's heroin. You know what I mean? But I'm from the ghetto, man. We say heroin. You know, gotta excuse me. But when I say heroin, you know what I mean. I mean heroin. But heroin, it's liquid heroin, man. That's what you drinking. And, you know, again, like I said, that's the problem with our culture, but especially within the pimping. You know, if something is expensive, if it costs a lot of money, it's cool. No matter how stupid it is, no matter how unwise it is, if it costs a lot of money, then it's cool. And, you know, that lean is like one of the most expensive habits, drug habits that you could have. So, you know, it's cool. But it's cats, man, they spend thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars on that shit all the time. You know, and that shit ain't cool. I'll be the first to say it. You's a junkie. You a liquid heroin junkie. That shit ain't cool. You's a dope fiend. All that. It's not cool. But give me just a second. I got to take a quick intermission. I'll be right back in less than a minute. Stay right there. It's one of them joints right here, man, that you play when you feeling down on your isn't right. Play this shit right here and resuscitate your pimping and get you right back on your mission, right? For you hoes, just that shit you play when you ain't feeling like super hoe today. Play this shit right here and to spark up your hoeing and get you right back going, you dig? Dig this. Pimps for real, don't mistake it for fashion. The turf that birthed my reputation for mashing was the track with active, attractive hoes. Professional goers that attract the dough. Like magnets to metal, never settle. We scorching them fag bitches pedal for them portions. My whores win it all. Not the ones on the sideline wishing but didn't ball in the guidelines. My bitches did it all. Down 7 below in the snow for dough. Over 120 in the sun for fun. They mash for hours, hooker baths, not showers. Bright and early, down and dirty for the cash and power. They gotta get the cash, the towers, and reach it all to a pimp. In my position, I'm all but exempt. These bras not wimps, I'm like the renegade. Okay, and we right back at it. But yeah, what y'all say, man? Has my it look like it be every so often, but do y'all say that my camera has been smoother on this live? You know, I get to popping it and I don't be paying attention all the time, but it appears that my camera has been smoother than usual this time. Hopefully it has. I appreciate y'all getting them likes up, man. You know, we ain't too far from 300 on the likes. So if you ain't wiped your feet off at the door when you stepped into a pimp's domain, please do so now. Hit that like button. The thing that look like that there. But yeah, man. That lean shit ain't cool. And one of the most unattractive things to see is a female on lean. That shit is so unattractive. You know? And again, that's somebody who's out of touch with their femininity. Right? You know, now no drugs is cool. Like lean ain't cool for a man or a woman. You know, nobody should be drinking that shit. Right? But it's just so unattractive. It's so unladylike for a female to be sipping lean. It's just, ugh. You know what I mean? That's just like, ugh. I can't even, I don't even know how to like accurately describe how unattractive that shit is and how unladylike that shit is. But, you know, I know the chicks that do it, you know, you busy trying to be like the fellas and shit like that, but no, it ain't cool. And then not just that, but one thing that lean is going to do is going to have you struggling with a 304. You know, because that's an expensive habit. You know, now some cats, depending on what their habit is, they can make it look good. And they can at least like stay afloat. They might not necessarily be struggling depending on how bad their addiction is. But that lean, that's an expensive ass habit. So it's a lot of cats out there with that habit that's struggling with a 304. You know what I mean? And yeah, that shit ain't cool, man. Liquid heroin. That's what it is. Freeze said it. Say the drama for your mama. Go argue with her. Let me hydrate my game. See, it was just at 235. Now it's saying 384. YouTube tripping right now. And my phone say 185. Okay, now my phone say 384. YouTube, get the count right, man. Get it together. But yeah, man, the pimp with 304's, you ain't never supposed to be struggling, man. But you know, and then this is the crazy part. I know some cats that don't have no drug habits and don't have no gambling habits, but will still be struggling with a 304. We're gonna get into that. Twisted up. Good looking with the $5 holla. Blessings to you, P. What you think about turning out a chick that sell drugs? I mean, it can be a good thing, you know. It depend on what type of chick she is, man, because there's a new phenomenon in today's times that you didn't really see back in the days, and that's the phenomenon of dope fiends that's dope dealers. You know what I mean? Back in the days, that shit didn't exist. The dope dealer was not a dope fiend, and if the dope dealer ended up becoming a dope fiend, he was no longer a dope dealer. He was gonna fall all the way off. He wasn't gonna be able to sell dope no more, and he was just gonna be a dope fiend. But you never had people who were simultaneously dope fiends and dope dealers, right? But you have that nowadays. A lot of the dope dealers are dope fiends at the same time, right? So I don't know. It depends on what kind of dope dealer this chick is, you know? Is she somebody who sells fentanyl to support her meth habit? Is she somebody who I was going to say somebody who sells meth to support their fentanyl habit, but fentanyl junkie ain't selling nothing. They just, they going to boost and try to sell something that they stole out of Target or Walmart, and that's how they going to support their habit 9 times out of 10, or they going to try to wash your windows, pump your gas, shit like that. But, you know, it could be somebody that's selling powder to support their ecstasy habit, and so on and so forth, right? You know, but today's times, like, you know, put it like this, most people that have anything to do with drugs in today's times, a lot of them is also dope fiends. No matter what kind of drug they sell, 9 times out of 10, they doing some kind of drug too. It's just a weird thing that goes on nowadays. It don't make no sense to me, but, you know, I never been in the drug world, so I can't speak from the perspective of somebody who has. But if she's somebody who doesn't do drugs, if she's a traditional drug dealer, then it could be a good thing, right? Because one thing about somebody who's a traditional drug dealer, you know, they have like a sixth sense. You know, those of us who done been in the streets, we have a sixth sense for shit, right? And, you know, she might be very street savvy and street wise, you know, and that can give her an incredible advantage in the game. So it could be a good thing. You know, it all depends on what type of individual she is. You dig? Brother Bill, once again, good looking with the $2 holla. Glory to God for this game. Long live Sinful to P. Lift heavy. You dig? Don't be scared to lift heavy, man. You know, it's cool to lift light. It's cool to lift, period. You know, whether you're lifting light or lifting heavy, it's cool to lift, period. But, man, it ain't no feeling like lifting heavy, boy. You know, when you go heavy, you just got to do it sometimes. You might not have to do it all the time, you know, but just do it sometimes. Don't just never lift heavy. Don't go all the time where you just don't never lift heavy, man. Lift heavy at least sometimes. You know, I might go lift heavy tonight because after this live stream is over with, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lift. And I just might go lift heavy tonight. You dig? Since my brother Bill advised me to go lift heavy, I just might lift heavy for Bill one time. Do it for Bill. You dig? Yeah, man. But, you know, I'm going to keep this semi-short and sweet. I just wanted to give y'all a good message and let you know, man, that a pimp ain't got no business struggling with a 304. And blessings to all the 304's who have been through that. You know what I mean? I might have to give a message about, you know, a message dedicated to the 304's whose spirits have been broken by the individual that they chose up with and dedicated themselves to. You dig? Because I know y'all could use a good message. So, you know, pimping might have to deliver that to y'all. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this one on up. Ronaldo Jason, as always, good looking with the $2 holla. My chart results came back looking good today. Dig that, man. Last time I got tested was like a month ago. Since you talk about my charts, man, let me see if I think I got it on here. Let me see. Let's see if I can pull my chart up right quick. Since we talking about my charts, you dig? Glad you brought that up, Ronaldo Jason, because, you know, we talk about SE eggs a lot, but we don't talk about, you know, safety and health when it comes to that. Where did I? Okay. Let's see. Okay, I think I can pull it up. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Yeah, let me show y'all my chart. You know, my most recent my chart. So I got tested on February 25th, which was about 5 weeks ago. Got tested about 5 weeks ago. I try to go at least once every 90 days, you know, just to stay into the habit of it. Even when I'm not like really super, you know, active, I just like to go get tested, man, just to stay into the habit of it so that at times when I'm more active, you know, I'm getting tested. So as you can see, this is my syphilis test. I could just hear Mac Honky in my head. Non-detected. Non-detected. Yeah. Non-detected. Turn to your neighbor and say, go get tested, man. Yeah, Mac Honky, he don't be liking to go get tested, bless his heart. But we gonna get Mac Honky to go get tested one of these days, man. But yeah, that's my syphilis results. This on February 25th, 5 weeks ago, 2025. You dig? They keep on saying Freeze got big HIV. You dig? Yeah, non-reactive. HIV-1, HIV-2, non-detected. Yeah. What is that? Non-detected. Non-detected. You dig? And then I think this probably gonorrhea, chlamydia. Yep. Negative for gonorrhea, negative for chlamydia. You dig? So, yeah, man, Ronaldo Jason, good looking on that, man. I like that you came in and let it be known, man, that you be going to get tested, man, because not enough of us go do that on the regular. You dig? Glad you brought that up, man. I'm with you, man. I felt good that day, too, when my test results came back looking good. You dig? Yeah, clean pimp. You know, it just feel good to be a clean pimp, you know? Yeah. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing on up. Now I'm going to hear Mac Honky in my head all day. Yeah. Non-detected. Yeah. Non-detected. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull that up before we go. Hold on. Yeah, non-detected. Hold on, battery gonna die. Oh, shit. Hold up. Yeah, non-detected. Oh, shit, Dre live right now. Damn, bro. I know. Oh, it is Wednesday. I'm tripping. I forgot Dre be live right now. We about to wrap it up, though. I just want to see something real quick. think this is the one. Let me see.
You abide by, you know what I mean? Don't you got some laws that you abide by? You know what I mean? What's your law?
Bitch, you never scored.
Nigga freeze up. Nigga been pimping longer than I've been breathing.
Hey, them hoes didn't hear you say my name loud enough. Tell them hoes my name a little bit louder.
Freeze on the phone. They wouldn't choose you if they got, fuck it, they wouldn't choose you. I couldn't come up with nothing funny enough.
Right, yeah. You know, that's a hazard of somebody that's not pimping.
He finna show me that he non-detected, but he not nigga.
That's why I'm asking you, when's the last time you got tested?
They pulled my nigga Mike Rich clothes all out the trunk. A nigga that told the hoe to call the laws. I be goddamn. Ain't got shit to do with me. Y'all go on here. Break yourself, but go on here. So I can see what Freeze talking about with his motherfucking ass. Y'all go on here. I'm showing out.
So once again,
talking about Freeze trying to pull them results of non-detected. What you got going, Freeze?
Yeah, you right.
Show me that it's non-detected. Show me
okay,
that it's non-detected. Right. Yeah, whatever that non-detected.
No, yeah, non-detected. Yeah, non-detected. Reactive.
Not negative. Okay, non-reactive.
Okay,
nigga,
like I said, so now I just showed you my results from May 4th. That was 2 months ago. That was 2 months ago.
You still got HIV.
2 months ago. 2 months ago, right?
Got HIV. You can be non-detected. You still got HIV, P.
Okay, when is the last time you got tested? See, listen. People who get tested know how test results look.
Shut up, nigga.
You don't know what you're talking about. You obviously don't get tested.
You still got it, Jack.
No, you obviously don't get tested.
Nigga, what you mean, nigga? What you mean I don't
Where's your test results? Where are your test results? Can we see yours? Can we see your test results? I showed you mine. I could show you the ones before that, too.
I don't have a...
No, it ain't no flip. I showed you mine. Let's see what the real results are. You said mine. You said mine is fake, or it's not accurate. Let's see what the real ones look like. Show us what it's supposed to look like. Okay, show us what it really do.
You're HIV negative.
Okay.
Show me where it says
show me your test results. Oh man, I ain't trying to go too far in on that. You dig? I just wanted to see that. Non-detected. Non-detected. That's going to be in my head all day long. Ronaldo Jason. Yeah. Non-detected. Yeah. Non-detected. Yeah. Freeze. Not detected. You know what I mean? We not detected around here. Yeah. Not detected. Turn to your neighbor and say, none detected. Oh, man. I appreciate y'all, man, as always, for tuning in and tapping in with a pimp. I appreciate you for sharing this video. I appreciate you for all the jokes, comments, questions, feedback, input, all that good stuff. I appreciate you for subscribing and hitting the bell when you subscribe. I appreciate all the super chats, the cash apps, the PayPals. I appreciate your support in every which way that you comes with it, man. Y'all already know who it is and what it is. Freeze is it. If you're out in traffic moving around, please do so in a safe fashion. And of course, as always, long live Sinful to P. We out. None detected.